Hi, welcome to Lessons in ParraDice, where you set up the game and I teach you how to play. I'm Matt Parra. This video is part of our Board Games 101 series, where we take a look at different genres of games within the hobby. Today, we will focus on a twist of a classic. Most of the games in this genre are also known as abstract. In the hobby of board games, abstract means that there is either no theme, or the theme is not relevant to the game, but just a fun addition that adds value. In this episode, we are a gang of thieves with a lofty goal of cracking 3 safes, utilizing our, wait for it, advanced cooperative poker skills. This addicting twist on a classic, Texas Hold'em poker, was designed by John Cooper and Corey Heath, and published by Cosmos. Take a moment to set up the game using page 4 of the rulebook as your guide. Then, come back and join me at the table to learn the gang. In order to play the gang, each player needs to have a basic knowledge of how to play poker, and more specifically, Texas Hold'em poker. If everyone playing knows how to play Texas Hold'em, then please skip ahead a few minutes to the overview. Texas Hold'em poker is played with a deck of 52 cards containing 4 different sets of cards known as suits. All 4 suits are the same strength when determining a winner. One is not better than the other, just different. Each suit has 13 cards, numbers 2 through 10, a jack, a queen, a king, and an ace. This is the value of the card from smallest to highest, the weakest being the 2 and the strongest being the ace. The jack, queen, and king are known as face cards, because they actually have faces on them. For purposes of this tutorial, think of them as having values of 11, 12, and 13, respectively. In Texas Hold'em, you are trying to make the best 5-card hand possible. Use the hand ranking card to follow along. I am going to briefly describe the 9 levels of hand rankings from weakest to strongest. The high card is what it sounds like. None of your cards have the same numbers and aren't all the same suit. You are just as strong as your highest card. A pair means that 2 of your 5 cards have the same number. Keep in mind for the rest of this breakdown that if you and another player both have a pair, the higher paired number wins. Since there are 4 of each number though, it is possible that you have the same paired number as someone else. In this case, the rest of your hand comes into play and the person with the highest single card outside of the pair wins. If you are totally tied with all of the same numbers, then it is a true tie. These tiebreakers and true tie rules are the same for the rest of the rankings. Moving on, the next ranking is a 2-pair, where your hand has, you guessed it, 2 different pairs of numbers. 3 of a kind is 3 of the same number in your hand of 5 cards. A straight is 5 different numbers in sequential order. An example would be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This could also be 10, jack, queen, king, ace. Or get this, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the most confusing rank by far. An ace is the only dual-use card in Texas Hold'em poker. It has an A for ace, but only 1 symbol. This is to inform you it can be used as a 1 when creating a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight, but is a 14 in literally every other situation. If your hand is all 1 suit, it's a flush. This does not mean all red or all black. It means all diamonds or all spades or hearts or clubs. A full house is when you have 3 of a kind and a pair in the same hand. 4 of a kind is having all 4 cards of the same number in your hand. The strongest hand is a straight flush. This is exactly how it sounds. All 5 cards are the same suit and are in sequential order. What you see here is also called a royal flush, which is the absolute best hand you can have for obvious reasons. That's a lot, I know. The rulebook actually has a really handy guide that explains each rank in more details from pages 10 to 11 if you need more info, but this should be enough to get you started. Now that you know how your hand of cards works, let's break down how Texas Hold'em poker works. Each player is dealt 2 cards face down in front of them. These are known as hole cards, or your hand. After players secretly look at their hand, a round of betting starts. There are different options for betting and giving up, better known as folding, but that needs another video in itself. For the purposes of getting you ready for the gang, we will just skip betting and folding. Once all players are ready, the dealer or person with the deck of cards places the top card of the deck face down in the middle. This is known as a burn card. Then they flip the next 3 cards face up in the middle. These first 3 cards are known as the flop. Now, the strength of your hand is your 2 hole cards combined with the 3 cards in the middle. The next step is to burn another card, then flip a 4th card face up in the middle. This 4th card is known as the turn. The last step is to burn a card and flip the 5th and final card face up in the middle. This is known as the river. At the end, the winner is the person with the best 5-card combination between their hand of 2 cards and the 5 face-up cards in the middle. You now have a general knowledge of how Texas Hold'em is played and the strength of poker hands. So, it is time to learn the gang. As stated earlier, you are working together to go on a heist by playing a puzzly game of Texas Hold'em poker. But instead of competing with each other as in a normal game of Texas Hold'em, you will instead give your fellow thieves clues about your hand using only the chips in the center to communicate. There are 4 stacks of up to 6 chips with 1 to 6 stars on each of them. Each stack is specific to a round and the only way of communicating the strength of your hand to the rest of the players at the table. At the end of the heist, you win as a group if you correctly rank the strength of each player's hand from worst to best. Any slip-ups and you fail the heist. If you win 3 heists before you lose 3, your group of thieves wins and escapes into the sunset with the loot. There are 2 other decks of cards called specialists and challenges that will make your heists easier if you are losing or harder if you are winning, but we will dive into those later in the video. Shuffle the deck of playing cards and deal 2 cards to each player face down, just like you do in Texas Hold'em poker. For this tutorial, I will be using a 4-player setup. Splay the white chips out in the middle so everybody can reach them. You should only have a number of chips for each color that matches your player count as stated in the setup. Put the rest of the chips aside for now, they are not needed yet. Each player looks at their hand in secret. Without communicating the strength of your hand in any way, all players simultaneously take the chip that they believe tells everybody else how good or bad their hand is. 1 star representing the worst hand, and the highest number of stars representing the best hand. In this case, 4 stars is the best hand. You will keep the chip you choose in this round and all following rounds in front of you for the rest of the heist. For example, my hand is a 2 and a 3 of different suits, or otherwise known as offsuit in poker terms. This is a very weak hand, so I will want to take the 1 chip to signal my team that my hand is currently terrible. After all players have settled on a chip of their own, we move on to the second round, the flop. I am following the rulebook in this step, which does not have you burn by discarding the first card you draw from the deck face down like in Texas Hold'em. But if you feel like you need to for continuity, it does not affect the game in any way, just more of a personal preference. I will also be continuing this way in rounds 3 and 4, disregarding the burn card. Start round 2 by flipping the top 3 cards of the deck face up in the middle of the table. Next, spread out the yellow chips where all players can reach. Players will assess the strength of their 5-card hands and proceed to grab the chip that best reflects their new strength in the exact same way as the previous round. Remember, no communicating anything about your hand in any way except for the chip you take. You will most likely notice that people take different chips than previous rounds. This generally means that their hand is getting stronger or weaker depending on which cards come out in the middle. Flip the top card of the deck face up, in the middle, next to the 3 flop cards, and put out the orange chips. Play proceeds just as it did in step 2. Flip one last card from the top of the deck face up next to the other 4 and put out the red chips. Players will take a chip as normal, but be careful, this one is different. This chip is the final one, therefore this red chip is your team's final rankings. Whatever your red chip says is where you need to be in order for your team to win. It only takes one player to be out of order for the gang to lose this heist. I recommend taking a moment to look at the full story that each player's previous chips are telling in reference to the cards in the middle before you slap Nana's hand away from that 4-star red chip. After each player has taken a red chip, starting with the player that took the 1-star red chip, reveal your 2-card hand. Do this in order from lowest to highest until all hands are revealed. Referencing the hand ranking card and assessing the strength of each player's best 5-card hand, we now rank each person's hand from weakest to strongest. If this lines up with the final red chips, then the gang completes the heist and flips over the first vault card. If our hand rankings do not match the red chips, then the alarm is triggered and we lose this heist. Flip over the first alarm card. Either way, we reset the game for Heist 2 by shuffling all 52 cards and collecting the chips back into their respective piles. Set up the next heist the same way as you did the first one. Players will continue to go on heists until one of 2 scenarios happen. Either the 3rd vault card is flipped face up, or the 3rd alarm card is. If your gang gets the 3 vaults first, they win and get away with the gold. But 3 alarms means you're caught and you lose. After everyone has a game under their belt, I highly suggest playing with the advanced mode. This simply adds these 2 decks of 10 cards to the game. The gold-backed cards are called challenge cards, and the red-backed cards are called specialist cards. First start by organizing the 2 decks separately by the numbers found in the upper right-hand corner of each card from 1 to 10. The rulebook does suggest that you play them in order until you have seen all of them. But if your group is ready for the challenge, you can also shuffle the 2 decks separately at the start of the game. Regardless, put the 2 decks aside for the first heist. They will not be needed for it. At the start of your second heist, you will draw 1 challenge card if you flipped a vault card the previous round, or 1 specialist card if you had flipped an alarm card. If you're like me and you struggle to remember which to flip in what situation, just remember that they are color coordinated. Vault and challenge cards are gold, alarm and specialist cards are red. Going forward, you will repeat this step each heist until the end of the game. The cards will adjust the difficulty of the game depending on the result of the previous heist. If you won, you draw a challenge card, which will make the next heist harder. If you lost, you will draw a specialist card, which will make the next heist easier. No matter which card you draw, it will have text shown here on the card, which someone will read aloud to the rest of the group. This text will be a minor change in the way you play Texas Hold'em poker for this heist. It could be anything from an immediate change, like one person draws a 3rd card, or an ongoing change, like one person isn't allowed to take a chip in rounds 2 and 3. Whichever specialist or challenge card you draw only affects this heist. These cards do not carry over from heist to heist. I am not going to explain each of these cards, but the rulebook does a great job of this in pages 16 through 19. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like it so it's easier for others to find. Also, if you want to learn more in ParraDice, please subscribe to the channel. Please know, as long as you want to have a blast playing an awesome game, you are always welcome at my table. Thank you and have fun.